Hello,
Hello.
I will.
Michael. How you doing?
Hey there.
Bart, how's it going?
We're ready.
Good. Can you
Well,
guys hear me all right?
Oh, maybe I should turn it like this. Here. I need this.
Whatever works for you guys.
Hold on 1 second. I thought I could do it on the computer, but you
Yeah.
can't. The
Yeah, I
live, you
don't.
can't.
Instagram is just so touchy. Instagram is just so touchy sometimes, I guess.
So there we go.
So you see us.
Awesome.
You see
I
us.
can,
You hear
s-
us.
I can see you a little bit. Yeah.
Maybe better like this.
Yeah.
No, you can't because
Yes.
then we're sideways.
What do you mean?
Can
Now
you
we're
like
side.
maybe? Can you move the camera out a little bit so that we can see you both? You know what I mean? Like if there you go, put it like that, and maybe move it a little bit farther away from you. There you go.
There we
Good
go.
view right there.
Perfect.
How are you guys doing?
Good.
Good. Awesome. Awesome.
You can ask all questions you want. If you want to answer, we answer. If it's too touchy, we'll say.
I
Look,
understand. I completely
no problem.
understand. No
And
worries.
that's why we like to do live. That there's no cutting, no misunderstanding possible.
Yes, I get it. I completely understand. Yeah, and if I do touch on some touchy topics, by all means, we can move on. Won't take it personal. It's not a big deal. I
We'll
really
do good.
appreciate.
We'll
Pardon me?
go. We'll go like
Yes,
this.
you got it. You move on. Next question.
Well,
But thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me. I really appreciate it. Again, thank you so much for both of you for helping me out with that book. It's just great feedback that I've gotten, and your input has been so valuable to that project. So
good.
again, good to see you guys again. Good speaking to you again. And I'm looking forward to this interview.
You know, the whole problem of all that bite work is that people like the animosity, the chiki chiki chaka. People never like to do the ABC. People
Mm-hmm.
want to do helper work. They don't want to prepare the dog for the control from the helper work because that's boring.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
they like to do helper work when the dog is 7 weeks old, where he should still pee and poo in diapers. No, they do helper work. And
Yes.
if you do helper work with a dog at that young age, well, it's like cocaine, eh? And then later you must make that animal happy with normal stuff. It's impossible. It's very hard.
It's all it's all that dopamine that keeps building up from a young age, and then you just get it more and more hyped up. I've seen people do crazy things with like 7, 8 week old puppies. I mean, they're doing crazy things. There's like a bunch of stuff. They're slamming the puppy against the wall. I look at that. I'm like, why? Why is it just because it looks good? It's just all about the flashiness. It just it
In
irritates me.
Actually, I know it irritates us also.
Yeah.
It makes, and then if you see the dogs back 1 year later, they're afraid of everything. There's stress of everything, and then it's
Yes.
that dog, and they get rid of it. It's always the same.
And then they go, oh, it's the dog. I don't like the dog. You know, it's
Yes.
just it's the dog doesn't have the right nerves. I just don't want him. But
Yep.
if they could just harness that and go, a puppy, we're going to train like a puppy. A young dog, we're going to train like a young dog. An adult dog, we're going to train like an adult dog. If they just did that, they would just go. They wouldn't go through as many dogs as they do
Well, and
Well,
because they.
that's why the good dogs are worn out early, and the dogs who take too long to mature, people want to write them off because they want to do all that stuff at a young age.
on
Yeah.
purpose, we did make 2, 3, 4 little videos today about the unforced forced fetch.
Mm-hmm.
We post them on Facebook to show people how you prepare the dog. You must hold, you must
Mm-hmm.
up,
Mm-hmm.
you must give. And later, when the dog is biting on the table, you must bite and you must out. And when it does not out, we can give a correction in the
Mm-hmm.
language that we did prepare the dog.
And also that even when the helper's there, you must give him the pipe that has no interest when the helper is around, but he must hold that too.
Yes.
A
Mm-hmm.
lot of dogs won't even hold a ball when the helper is around.
That
Much
makes
less a
sense.
pipe.
Yeah,
It
that
means
makes perfect sense.
you make
Um,
them you give them a job before they go bite, and you say you must hold and you must give, and now you must go bite and you must out.
And you must look.
And that's what we try to explain to people, but they never listen. They like
Do
to
you
do mumbo jumbo bullshit, you know.
do you think so do you think that a lot of this is because social media rewards shitty training? And so like when they see things like this, they're like, well, that's kind of boring. I just want to do the fun, the fun stuff. Do you think social media adds to it?
Well, first of all, I think we should identify what you mean adds to it.
Okay. So like
for the audience, and then start with that.
yeah. So one thing that gets a lot of views, for instance, like, and I'm sure you've seen it too.
Are we live already? Because I don't know.
We're live.
Oh, hi everybody.
Yeah.
Now I start smiling.
Yeah, we're good to go. We're live. Everybody's here. So like what I mean is, I'm sure you've seen this, and I've seen it too, where you see videos of dogs doing things that you can see. It's clear if you understand body language, you can tell the dog is not having a good time. They're putting too much pressure on the dog, and it's clear the dog hasn't been prepared. But because it looks flashy and nice, people are like, "Oh my God, that's amazing!" And so people want to do that all the time because it's not fun to see like the training sessions that you guys are talking about, like the pipe.
Michael and I, we see it easy. If you see a young kid from 6 years old with a cigarette in his mouth, what you do, you kick his ass.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And
Mm-hmm.
when it's a young dog, then it's good. It's not normal. I mean, people must learn that there is a lot of similar things between kids and dog training. It's about consequences, and it's about ABCs, it's about alphabet.
And age appropriateness.
Yeah.
That's absolutely correct. Yeah, absolutely.
We had so many demands to do a podcast about this subject, you cannot believe, but first in was you.
I really appreciate that. I'm honored.
I mean, we cannot do the same podcast 10
5
times again. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
But
it makes perfect sense.
the video, and I hope that people did look at that video.
Well, that's the thing. We still haven't talked about what made this podcast start. Is that I posted a video that was a finished video, and why don't you fill it in there, Will?
The video from Finland.
Yes. So, I posted it too. Well, actually, I haven't posted it. I saw it. As soon as I saw it, I was like, holy crap, I sent you guys a message. The video is basically, what I see of the video is just, hidden cameras. And really what I see is, ammunition to fuel an agenda, right? Like there are things being, some things at least, I can definitely see being taken out of context. And it's like, hey, this is the way we're going to do it. This is what we're going to do it. Here's why this is bad. Here's why we need to fuel this agenda, because now we have some ammunition.
I agree with you completely. Your assessment of that.
Can I add something on that? So,
of course.
If you look to a video or whatever online, social media, things are not always what they look like they are. An agenda behind it, and there is a deep thing behind it. So, Michael and I, we never go over one night of ice. We like hot items to put in the agenda, that people think about it, speak about it, and be careful with reactions, because a lot of people throw reactions, and then I'm thinking, what are they
without thinking,
reacting?
They're emotional. It's emotions.
First
emotion,
of all,
exactly.
And if you see the gear of the people having those cameras, it's like professional snipers, but instead of having a gun to kill, they have the gear to take pictures to kill later with.
It was orchestrated.
It's totally orchestrated,
for sure,
manipulated, and yes,
to push your buttons and my buttons.
Emotional.
Everyone's buttons. Yes.
Yeah, very emotional. It reminds me of a video of 5 weeks ago. Sorry that I start about that, where somebody did say things, and then they put a statement, and they say the only thing we were missing on this video is, and Martin Systems and Nepopo, what are you thinking about this? So
How are we responsible for it?
how are we responsible for this?
Yeah.
Well, indirect, everybody is responsible. Indirect.
Yeah. Yeah.
That video from 5 weeks ago, everybody
Yes.
has butt on their heads. Everybody. But that's not
So
the topic today. Here also, we are all having butter on our head. But now I'm going to tell you something very important.
yes.
I have a Belgian friend, and I will not call the name. And he is a student from the University of Utrecht in Holland, where in those days they were the only university to give behaviorism, ethology, to the know-how about dogs, dog training. All the intelligent people sitting together, and the danger of intelligent people sitting together is they do brain masturbation, we call that. They are very strong, blah, 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 but never on the field. And that guy told me, and he still is a good friend, and he said, Bart, there is a hidden agenda from all those people, and the hidden agenda is stop the bite work and all the bite sports in Europe. Because, now comes, they know exactly that when a dog is really biting,
As behaviorists.
that the biting at itself is self-rewarding, and you cannot compete against that self-rewarding behavior with whatever in positive training only. It's impossible. So they know that exactly. That's why, to cut out the possibility to do bite sports, because they don't want that, they have little steps to reach it. The first step they introduced was, for all the bite sports, no more stick. Because in the old days, when I was a young guy, before the dog bite, there was always stick opposition, always. And the dog had to come through the stick, hit on the head or whatever, and then the dog had to show character. The only sport where they still do it is the KNPV sport, with a rotten stick now, because you touch it, it breaks. So it's piece of cake. But in the old days, it was a quite tough stick. So they took that away. That was the first thing. Then the stick from the IGP, the strong stick, became the soft stick.
Yeah. Yeah.
3 years ago, if I remember well, in Austria, where they did the World Championships, it was the fake stick. They did capoeira. The stick was there to just fake and not touch the dog. Because it was not good for the public, and la 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 la. In the French ring sport, in the old days, it was a bâton, a stick in bamboo, and the helpers that are very light suited, they're very light dresses, and the dogs bite hard. And then there was a vicious fight between the helper and the dogs. It was brutal. So for both sides. And the helpers became quite rough with their sticks. And to diminish the stick effect, they obliged the stick to be cut in different slices to
That
make
makes
the touch
sense.
more gentle. And in the French ring sport, there is no more, they cannot touch the dog anymore before the bite. It's not allowed. It's not allowed. Okay? Then, in the Belgian ring sport, we never did a lot of opposition with the stick. The Belgians is more about a lot of faking and a lot of hip 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 hooray. It's more about the distraction. It's a circus. Okay? So it's another mentality. But the first step from all those behaviorists was the stick. And the big federations, they all did put the pens down and please take me, animal welfare. Because nobody could tell why we have sticks. Michael and I, we
Right.
know exactly why. Because we are the generation of people that are guarding the genetics, the treasury of genetics that the old people did select for us. And that you and we must select for the next generation of dog trainers.
If you want to keep them around.
And
Yeah.
toughness is part of it. And toughness means opposition. Nowadays, it starts in the schools with kids. Everybody is a winner. You are the last, but you're a winner.
Participation award.
Participation trophy.
Award. What's that again? So it means it's a whole mentality, and that changed peu à peu. Then, you and I, we must preserve the genetics of a healthy dog that can jump higher, not lower, because they lower the A-frame, the straight frame and it became an A-frame. The jumps are not very selective anymore. It's the only sport where everything goes down. It's dog sport. Look to all the other sports. It goes higher and faster. Not dog sports, because the poor little animal. And me, I want to compete with my dog. Well, you must not put it so high. That's why Michael and I, we have a proposition. We make a competition where everybody put his low height or his high height. And the higher you jump, the more points you have, and the better for the genetics. And you cannot push a dog with brutality to jump high or far. It's impossible. You must do that with motivation techniques.
Mm-hmm.
But they never let us speak. They let people speak that don't know too much about dog training and that always put down the pens and say, oh no, we don't do this anymore. The same with the pinch collar,
Mm-hmm.
the stick, the pinch collar, the choke collar, the e-collar, the whip. All these are little steps to the definitive stop of bite work. This video,
I mean, that's politics 101.
of course,
Yeah.
Start with little things.
is brutally manipulated. And I know, and we know what the federations in Germany gonna do, and in Finland they're gonna put down the pens more and more because they don't want to have bite work anymore. They don't want that because they know exactly we cannot control it. But there's something we must also say: we, the trainers, must know the animal welfare law better. That's why when Michael and I we start the seminar or we start the school, we always start with what is the law telling about animal welfare. And it's easy. It is forbidden without valid reason to inflict pain or to make a dog suffer. That means that with a valid reason, you are allowed and you must give pain wherefrom he can suffer. And there is two reasons where you must inflict pain. It's when a dog bites a human being, you must with any means stop that animal to bite. Because if you don't stop the bite, they can charge you for not helping a person that needs help. You understand what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So then there is the other law that goes over animal welfare. And there is another reason why you must inflict pain, is to save the life of your animal.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going to turn it again. When we have a helper in a suit, are we allowed to inflict pain? No, it's not allowed. That means that, and that's why we do the unforced forced fetch on a table, where we learn our dogs that the stimulus is a tactile language that means hold. The same stimulus is a tactile language that means give. And later in the bite work, the assimilation comes and the stimulus to bite and the stimulus out. And then later, when the dogs are really biting, because we have so good genetics that one day they really start biting, and that the biting is self-rewarding, then you say the word out and the dogs say, I don't out anymore. Because that is the result of top training, that the behavior becomes self-rewarding. But we must tell the dog out, and that's why we give him a little correction. He knows exactly how to handle that, and he knows exactly how to avoid that in the future, to not be correct anymore.
And that's why there's no stress.
And there is no stress. And that's what people don't grab. And what is the definition of the word stress?
And people also don't grab it that when they have little puppies and they click and the dog outs for the food, that will work for a time. But once the dog really loves biting, you can click and they don't out for the food. They don't want the food. The biting is the most important.
You know?
It's like when kids, like if you just treat your kids with like, hey, yeah, everything's fine, and then when they're teenagers and then they do something that is not fine and you drop the hammer, not fair. Like you have to, they have to understand. I have two teenagers, so I know exactly how this is, right? You have,
And one of the most important things in dog training is that every behavior becomes self-rewarding. Healing, sit down, stand still, hold, sniff. If a dog is working, it doesn't need rewards anymore, because the work is self-rewarding. And that's why you need. And if you need to reward the bite or the out, you will not live long, believe me. The dog must love the bite and love the out. It must be rewarding.
Well, Bart just showed a clip today of Ragnar on the table holding a metal bar, letting go of the metal bar, biting the helper, outing, looking at him, looking at the helper, and all of those things he does happily. There's no conflict.
With passion.
Of course.
Yes, with passion.
Right, with passion.
What Mike
Yeah.
and I try to get is in every exercise, controlled heart and soul. Because a crazy junkie, we don't want that. We like a dog that is under full control, but that loves and has passion for every exercise.
And that's the problem when a dog has no culture and you start it on bite work.
That makes perfect sense. I mean, and then I see it like I told you in our previous interview when we talked about the book. I do run a club, and I do work with people from different training backgrounds, and a lot of it is troubleshooting the problems that they created because they just wanted to go, 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 go instead of going nice and slow with the dog at the dog's pace.
But even as soon as the dog starts biting, people start doing the whole routine.
I see it, and I'm like, what are you doing?
They don't do the ABCs and get everything and then put them together.
They want to put the roof of the house. There's no walls.
They don't do the chunking. They don't do the individual steps and then chunk it together. And they just do the whole thing. And then it's a big mishmash of mess.
Yes.
To go back to that video, because that's the whole point.
The finished video.
The finished video. It's a very well prepared action, and it will put dog sport with biting in big, big, big problems in Europe. And it will fly over like the coronavirus to United States of America. And it will start in the states that are very, excuse me the words, a lot of marijuana, a lot of free thinking. We want solar energy. That is the states where it will come first. And they will try it. The states that ban
the liberals. All the liberals.
Well, I have no problem with that because they always ask me, Bart, Michael, well, how do you think politically? I always say, I think the right side. The other side is wrong.
We're correct.
Right and wrong. Because in my language, what you guys call right is good. And the
right and left
is bad. Yes.
Right. Right and left. I gotcha.
Yes. Yes. So it's easy. But it's not about politics here.
No.
It's about continuation of our dog sport so that you and I and all other people that like dog sport still can do it without being treated like a gangster. Because now comes, with all these events, the gentleman that was on the field and in charge and that, in my opinion, did nothing wrong, they will crucify him. They will crucify him.
If he's not already crucified.
Because the people want a black sheep that must be slaughtered. And they're going to slaughter that gentleman.
And people do that.
That is hired like you and like we on a seminar. And there you are with people that don't do chunking for 2 years, then they have problems, and they did not prepare the dog for the inevitable correction that will come one day, and then you see things like this. This is a typical thing. And that's why Michael and I said, no more seminars. We now go for a school where we teach people the ABCs, and they need minimum 5 years to be able to turn it around. You don't like to do that, patient? You're not welcome in our school because we don't need you. You will not be a good advertising. We want to be on a seminar. You are a trick master. You are the magician that
fixes all these little tricks.
You know, when we were in Germany, Michael and I, or in Europe, we always did speak about the whole agenda: negative reinforcement, positive reinforcement, consequences for doing and consequences for not doing. Because we did drink and preach water, but we also did preach and drink wine, where most people only preach water and drink wine behind the corners. The whole thing in Europe is sick because nobody dares to speak free anymore. Nobody. And it is so far that everybody has to train behind the bushes and privately.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Or people will be snipers and take videos of them.
It's unbelievable. Now, what people
that's what happens.
Now, what people don't understand, and you must know that historically, where did animal welfare start? People don't know that.
Do you know?
Do you know where animal welfare started? I know. The German SS did start animal welfare. The monsters from SS, they did start animal welfare. to stop the Jewish people to do their home slaughtering, because that was the main reason, to stop Jewish people to do their house slaughtering, with the slaughtering of the sheep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Lots of time ritual. And that's why all the countries around Germany, and certainly above Germany, they go in that extreme agenda of animal welfare. And it doesn't amaze me that it started there again. And it's very, very well prepared agenda. And people don't know how to react, because there is people that have honorable jobs. They will be afraid to do bite work, because they will be half gangsters.
But I've heard from a lot of the people who live in those northern countries, and the more rules they have set out to save people and protect people also gives more things you're not allowed to do. You are forbidden. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
all in the name of helping, but you lose your freedoms one by one by one.
It's like telling people, hey, your gun, you can't have, this many rounds in your magazine. You have to have less rounds, 10 rounds. All right, you can't have this type of gun. All right, you can't have guns at all because they're bad for you. They're bad for everybody. And then that doesn't stop people from getting guns. I'm sorry, I went a little bit political here again.
Yeah.
But that's that's how the whole movement goes, right? It goes very. We're gonna do a little bit at a time, a little bit freedom here and there, and it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop people.
And I think you hit it on the head. It's a worldwide movement at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
Worldwide movement.
And professionals like Michael and me, we will not be hurt like this. But we put our heads in the front lines again, because some people will try to shut it off. We don't care. We are strong enough. We have a strong.
You stick your neck out for the industry.
We have no problem with that. And
now,
we are financially at the point where we are healthy. So
good.
Not too much thing can happen to Michael and to me. So we must stick our heads in the front line and try to help to solve this problem. Now, we did go over that video over and over and over again, because people always think,
and name that. Tell about it.
And people think that we are not well prepared. So when we speak about things, we prepare things. Otherwise, shut them out and be silent. That means that you see the video and there is a little bit aggression work at a certain moment, where they give out and the helper has the whip behind his
Yes,
back.
I saw that part, yeah.
Barking with the ears down and the teeth open. That's what we call aggression work. Well, let's say like this. In all our career, the last 15 years, a lot of times people did request us, please, can we go to aggression work? We said no, because Joe Bob should not do aggression work, because Joe Bob is a general public. The general public has a dog that lives in the house together with the kids, and it has been bred to be stable, and so on and so on. And we're gonna make it totally opposite that behavior of that dog. And then aggression work is done by monkey see, monkey do. People that don't know what to do, they just see something, they copy something, and that's a dangerous mix. Then they have an uncontrollable, dangerous dog.
We never do that.
We never do aggression work.
And we don't teach that.
We never do that. And in the old days, I know exactly how they did it. In the old days, they just did pray. The dog could bite in the blind. No barking. Nobody trained on barking. It was biting. And one day, when the dog was really biting in the blind, then they said, okay, now when the dog comes in the blind, there will be a big conflict. No more biting. There, the selection was done. By stopping the habituation of biting with a big, unpleasant feeling, normal dogs did run away. Selection was done. And the strong dogs, they did shift their eyes, they did became blue, green, they opened their lips, their mouth, and they did spit fire. And there was the aggression. Always. But now what's the new problem? How do we out those dogs? Outing the dog and controlling the dog. So it's a very complicated game. And in the beginning, when you do dog sport, healing is healing. Oh, my dog has prey drive, because you think the dog has prey drive. And sit is sit, and barking is barking. and healing is healing. But to know you more about dog sport is, whoa, my healing looks like shit. It's not healing. There is no heart and soul. There is no reflex response. Whoa, my dog has no prey drive at all. When something happens, he looks away from the ball. So the more you know about the whole thing, the more you understand that healing is not just healing.
That's why I never don't even listen to my customers. I don't ask them those questions. I don't ask how is your ball drive, because people will tell me it's fantastic. You know what I mean?
So,
and when you see it, it's a totally different thing.
To go back to that video, the aggression word, totally
Yes.
normal, nothing wrong. Very
normal. What people do.
It happens all over the world, so nothing special. And we cannot judge a video the way they bring it together, because the guys on the field and the ladies on the field, we know a few of them. They are not the first and the best, so they know how to train dogs. So this is really manipulated. Then you see healing, and with the helper at the side, we call that conflict training healing. And of course, the dog is attracted by the helper, and of course, he receives a stop doing that, and then you see that the dog starts healing very fast.
Yeah.
He is not extinguished at all, so nothing wrong there. We call that conflict management training. And then at a certain point, instead of bringing the dog in healing position with the leash, they pull the dog out of healing position.
Over the street.
Over the street, and then the dog has to fight to go back in the what we call the safe zone pull position.
Right, opposition reflex.
Yes.
Of course, it's
opposition reflex.
Nothing wrong there. And if you reach the top, everybody does this.
Yeah,
and so on. Then the apport is done in the old-fashioned way with the avoidance training method, and you hear the dog vocalizing a little thing. And then as soon a German Shepherd, and good German Shepherd, they all do.
Yes. Yes.
And you know that, of course. So, but people don't understand that. So don't judge this video on the video, but nobody's gonna judge it. That's the big problem. And they have the biggest mouth. We call that seagull politics. They scream a lot, they poop a lot, and they scream for a whole army. But it's only 5 of them. And we, the majority, we have a big silent army. We put the pens down. That's the problem. We must stop doing that.
Stop pulling your pants down, everybody.
Hold the line and stand at the flag. And there is nothing wrong if you do it with animal welfare in your flag.
Now I have a question.
Yes.
I have a question for you guys. So I know in the pet industry, okay, there are some very incompetent dog trainers. And I understand, I understand the use of pressure. I understand that there's going to be conflict. But in the pet side, there are some very incompetent trainers who everything for them that they cannot creatively think, work through, they automatically go through pressure, automatically start slamming, hitting the dog with a baseball bat. And you see, like, some of these people do sometimes attract some of that negative attention to the industry as a whole. What are your thoughts on that?
Education is key. I mean,
well, I think that in every professional, you have mambo jumbos and you have people that know their job. A plumber, an example. Michael went lately to the dentist, which had the root canal to be fixed in the United States. And then one teeth after the other fall out. And I asked Michael, because I like to joke, did you ask the dentist if he has a diploma? And if he has a diploma in fixing teeth or in breaking teeth? Because if you go to a dentist, nobody asks, can I see your diploma? And nobody asks, where did you get your diploma? You think they have a diploma. With dog trainers, it's the same. It's a free market. So I think that the end consumer, it's up to the end consumer to decide. And it's very hard to clean it up. And I think that the dog does speak for the trainer.
And you see also that trainers who don't know a lot can still teach people who know less.
Yes.
That's true.
So
that is true.
The more educated everyone is, the more they know what they need and who is going to be good for them. But, it all comes down to education. That's
after my post of yesterday evening where I did, repost her
Mm-hmm.
video. I had so much comments, and then I'm thinking, did they ever train a dog? Did they ever have a dog that was biting?
Yes.
Because I read those comments and I'm thinking,
Well, some people
well,
think that, you can out a dog with a cookie. I mean,
Yeah.
and you can probably out a dog with a cookie if they're a golden retriever. You know what I'm saying?
and there's nothing wrong with the golden
No,
retriever.
but I'm just saying.
He's not bred to be the bite works. It's another
Right.
job.
And the thing is that really, it's like I've seen all kinds of dogs. I've even seen really, truly vicious dogs, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And some people never see it's a 1 in 1,000. It's a
Yeah.
1 in 1,000 dog, but I'm not making it up. But I see customers and they say their dog is vicious and it's not.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I've seen a dog nearly rip his handler's calf right out of his leg.
Right.
Like
But
vicious, but like you said, that's like one in like 1,000.
exactly. And the thing is that if you don't have the experience and you haven't seen it, you just think it doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
If
You're
you,
absolutely correct.
but experience is something. And experience is something that you can only get for yourself. Coming to a school doesn't give it to you.
Well,
Yeah, you're absolutely correct about that. You do need to put the hours.
then we continue the video. Then there is a
Yes.
moment where they slap a dog a little bit on the head. Today I
Yeah.
did do that on purpose when my dog was biting to make him bite harder. I mean,
That makes
when
sense. So
is a
from
slap
your.
a slap? I did see that it even had no effect on the dog. He was
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't care. Continue slapping me. I don't care. So, I mean, of course, we don't like to see it.
But
And
we don't know the whole.
we don't know the whole story.
You're saying it's out of context, and when you see something out of context, you only see a piece
Yes.
of it. You're not seeing the whole
Yes,
picture,
sir.
and this
They
is
show
where
the-
emotions get involved.
They
Yes.
show the inflammatory moment.
And then are the vocalizations of the moment? You don't know. And what do they speak in the Finnish language? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then at a certain point, the trainer, because there's a Doberman that pulls
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
the ball on the rope, and the trainer says, kick him on his chest. That's what we
Yes.
say in our language. And it's not to kick him out of the ball, it's to learn the dog to hold the ball and go backwards. They call that counteren. The dog
The
must
counter.
to counter the
Counter.
grip.
Yeah. Counter. Yeah.
It's the unpleasant is lower than the hope of the ball, and the unpleasant stops when the dog is pulling. That's the game. So what can I
And
say?
so, and I remember on that part of the video too, when the guy said kick, right? When he
Yes,
was
yes,
signaling this,
yes,
they didn't
yes.
show that part, right? Like it went
Well,
to another clip.
no, they show, you see that the dog is pulling, and you
Right.
don't see really that, but I know exactly what they do. So they learn the dog to pull and to counter. There is
Mm-hmm.
nothing new to that. And then when he counters, there is no unpleasant feeling, and
And you see
they lose
did,
the rope.
Yeah.
And that's why we, in the Belgian ring sports, where we need a push grip, we never let the dog pull. Never.
Mm-hmm.
We never
Mm-hmm.
have a dog on the rope for that reason. Because that's where the pulling and the headbanging starts. It's typically.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So nothing wrong again with that little clip. Then pull back. Then I want to go off the video because
Yeah. Yeah.
they're
Definitely.
going to slaughter that guy. His career is done. They're going to slaughter him, but they should not. But they're gonna. They're gonna do that because the federations. They're gonna crucify somebody.
Well, they always look for that.
We
that
call it the
Scapegoat.
lamb. They want to sacrifice.
Yeah. The scapegoat.
Yeah,
The scapegoat.
the
Mm-hmm.
black sheep must be slaughtered. That's
Yes.
and the people want a victim, and that's it. And they're gonna happen. They're gonna and heads will roll here. And
Mm-hmm.
the future of dog sport with biting is jeopardized, and it will go to the neighbor countries. It will go because this is what the media likes to see and likes to show. They don't like to show the dog that was capturing Osama bin Laden. That's already forgotten.
No.
That dog
Mm-hmm.
was trained to go to the target. Nobody speaks about that anymore because the guy is gone. The bombs are forgotten. Now it's about, oh, my little doggy on my lap. People love to see MMA. And on their laps, they have their little dogs and they are petting the dog. And in front of them, they want to see blood. That's the modern gladiators. Well, the guys and the ladies that do MMA, they are not trained with kisses and hugs only, you know. So it's
Mm-hmm.
The, the, the wife of the Minister of Agriculture.
ah, it's typically, huh? In Belgium, years ago, long ago, in the early 1900s,
Mm-hmm.
dogs were pulling the cart, and the dogs were the cheap horses to help the poor farmers to have an animal that helped them to do the heavy labor.
So they could pull, they could
Mm-hmm.
run up the little
Yes, and they had
rat
bicycles,
things, and so they
Mm-hmm.
could turn the butter
and they had
Yeah, yeah.
bicycles with little trailers, and the dogs
plow.
were pulling.
They could plow.
And then there was a lady that was married with the Minister of Agriculture. And most of the times, the Minister of Agriculture has in his portfolio animal welfare. And she was sitting there with her little chihuahua, and nothing wrong with a little chihuahua, with a little jacket, and nothing wrong with a little jacket. And that little chihuahua was eating chicken legs, nothing wrong with that. But she felt sorry for the dogs that were pulling the cart. She did not feel sorry for the guys pushing and pulling also the cart.
No.
And she, because she did slept with
The
the
minister.
minister, she could whisper in his eyes, honey,
Mm-hmm.
if you stop this cruelty, I will deny for you tonight. They stopped. The next day, there was a new law proposal that was prohibiting dogs to pull carts in Belgium. The next day, more than 500,000 dogs were slaughtered and killed because the poor farmer had not money to keep alive the animal that only was there to eat.
Just as a pet.
Out of
That
animal welfare, they did kill 500,000 dogs. What the hell is that?
Right.
Okay,
I mean,
lucky us, some of them did not kill the dogs, and they did start the ring sport on Sunday. And that's how Belgian ring sport did start.
that is
Okay?
such important piece of information that most people don't even know.
Of
You
Right.
know,
course.
a lot of people don't know what happens behind the curtains.
And
Right.
then
So,
another thing that they don't show on the video that they did show there again is how do the dogs like to come out the crates and the cars and the trailers to go on that field, to go in the challenge to bite? If
mm-hmm.
they are cruel, believe me, not one dog comes out of that kennel or crate.
Right.
And our
Mm-hmm.
experience is they like to go there.
They
Mm-hmm.
scream on the way there.
They scream on the way there, so they
There's
Mm-hmm.
love that. But what we must learn, because they don't do everything right, what
Mm-hmm.
we dog trainers must learn is we need to understand that we have a society that likes to see that we are good for the animals, and that's good. That's
Mm-hmm.
why Michael and I, when we teach our Nepal Post School, one of our key words is heart and soul
Mm-hmm.
must come out of the dog and under control. That is what we preach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Heart and soul in every exercise. But we know that when there is heart and soul in every exercise, you must be able to control that.
Mm-hmm.
So it must be very controllable.
Mm-hmm.
And we, yes, we do prepare our dogs to get a correction that will inevitably come in every exercise. And when they get the correction, they are so happy to fly back in their work, and they will never, never go on that correction again because they know how to avoid it. Because
Mm-hmm.
that's important.
And it's without stress because they know how to avoid it.
And that's what
And
we
they've
learn
been
in our
introduced to
school.
it.
Yes.
And that's a little bit also
Well,
in the when people video nay training,
Mm-hmm.
as I was talking to Bart, it can be more controversial. Naval
Mm-hmm.
training is not very controversial. If you see it, it's
we did speak about a very important word. Me, I'm the son of a lawyer. And he told me as a young guy, it's all about definitions. If you define a word, you never have a fight about that word. Stress is one of the most used words in dog training. Define
Mm-hmm.
it. Open the
we will.
dictionary. Stress, uncontrollable reactions from the organism on physiological and psychological pressure. It's uncontrollable. When it becomes controllable, there is no stress. And that's why the dog must have the control position. The dog must know how to stay away from the predictable correction.
Which is why
It's
he
clear.
must know it, obviously,
course.
before he
Of course.
gets a correction. He must
course.
know it.
Of course.
That makes sense.
So what happens in Finland should matters all of us.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
will come over, and we, the dog trainers, must try to understand better what we do, prepare the dogs very well, and it should look good. The big problem from looking good, because there's a new drama going on. There's a new drama. For example, in the IGP sports, they like the tail up and the whole active dog, which makes sense. But people go so far that they only pick the puppies from 5-6 weeks old that waggle their tails up. If they don't waggle the tail up, nobody wants a puppy anymore. And now the danger is, I'm not kidding. So the selection is on hyperactive dogs that are nervous wrecks, and people don't see the difference between drive and nervy dog. And they go to nervy dogs because they think that the tail up is a sign of drive. No.
Yeah.
A good drive dog can sleep. Like there, she's sleeping. And believe me, when we give the word, she's gung-ho like you cannot believe. That's what a dog should be. We call that the on-off switch. People cannot do that. Or the switch is off and if the world charm don't move. And then they try everything to make that animal move, but they cannot. Or they have the opposite. They have that nervous wreck that cannot stop. It's the middle of the road. And that's what it is about, you know?
Yeah.
So a new drama due to that aesthetic look, tail up, ears up, the happy looks. People are selecting dogs for that are nervous wrecks. And that's a big, 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 big mistake.
And a certain type of dog is falling out of favor.
Yes. The very stable dog is now falling out of favor.
Like our dog Ragnar, who's an extreme stable dog. Extreme.
But when we switch the gear, he's there. But you must know how to train those dogs also.
Right.
So a good dog trainer must be able to walk different.
Train a nervous dog. Train a stable.
Yeah.
A lazy dog.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Yeah.
So
now,
not just one kind.
Well, question for you. Do you feel, because we're talking about selection here,
yes,
and obviously somebody with experience knows what they're looking at, they know what to get. How do you feel about the increasing popularity of the working, especially the Malinois? Like, it seems like everybody now wants a Malinois. And I see people that shouldn't even have a dog, let alone a working dog. They're like automatically going, where do I get a Malinois? I want a Malinois. Where do I get a Malinois? Do you feel like this is also affecting like the obviously supply and demand? You have a higher demand. You're going to have the people who are going to come in and are going to be willing to be indiscriminate about their breeding and, you know, provide these types of dogs to people that don't know what they're looking for. They're selecting the wrong dog. And then those people then later at a year old are breeding that dog. How do you feel about the increase in popularity of the working dog, especially the Malinois, in regards to this conversation?
Well, it's on one side a honor for the race, for the breed, but on the other side is the drama of the breed. So we must be clear on that.
Well, it's interesting because there was a time when they start breeding dogs that they really all were flat, but they just look different. You know, like I don't mean to pick on the shepherd, you know what I'm saying? And there's certain classes of labs, you see what I mean? So I think a little bit people look at the Malinois and they think, I want one that looks like that, and they think it's just going to be a nice little pet for them. It'll be the same as having a golden retriever.
And you got the movies that are, you know, that are encouraging the look of the.
It's always bad when they have dogs in the movies and they always become popular, but.
Well, let's say like this. And now the biggest drama is coming. That the original countries from the Malinois, for example, what you speak about, and the German Shepherd, Germany, they are totally handcuffed by animal welfare. So what I do see now in Belgium for the moment is that due to COVID, most clubs were totally closed for 1 year. What people don't understand in the States, in Europe, the whole business is in the hands of the clubs that do it for club member fee, 25 euro dollar for a whole year. And 10 friends do it together. In America, due to the fact that people work much longer days, there is less time to go to clubs. That's why there is professionals that help people. So it's a huge difference. So the clubs that do for free in Europe and that have a rent to pay for their property, they are now financially, it's over. They cannot survive. So
Terrible.
it means that half of the Belgian ring sport clubs and the bike clubs out because there is no ping. That's
terrible.
the first hammer they receive on the face now. The second hammer is that in Belgium also, they just are trying, and they will, stop the e-collar. So they're going to prohibit it. And we don't fight for it anymore. For us, we did fight 10 years ago. Nobody did want to fight with us.
Nobody
we give
helped.
up.
They just pulled their pants down, you know?
They pull the pants down, and I don't like to hold lines for people that do pull the pants down. Then the problem there is that you cannot train dogs the modern way without the e-collar. It's impossible. If you have to go back to the old days, like you did see on the video with Slamming and that and it, if you say, for example, to a guy that dig holes with a machine in the ground, you go back to the old days and you give him 10 shuffles and you say 9 people will work with you. That guy says, are you crazy? We're going to exaggerate a little bit more. Instead of 10 guys, we want 100 guys and we let them work with a spoon. How stupid is that? So that's what they are doing by going back to the old days. It is a shame that modern days in dog training are stopped and will be stopped by people that don't understand the whole problematic.
And they think that I think their intentions are that it'll be more humane, but it won't be. It won't be.
Of course not. It's not clear.
People are going to do it anyway.
Well,
and they're going to find other ways to make the dog do that. Maybe the dog could really get hurt, you know, like the fences that come down for the callback, the nets.
And we go back to the old days. It's ridicule, and they oblige people to that. So in Belgium, there is a movie going on, The Last Mohican, and the movie name is The Last Ring Sporter. That's going on. It's over and out. Holland, the same. Not long ago, they still had 10,000 members. I think that if they still have 4,000, it's a lot. I think.
That's terrible.
It's unbelievable what happens. That means that 2 countries that were providing dogs, it's over. France, the same drama is going on, where
they want to ban the e-collar.
They want to ban the e-collar, the ring sport, the bite sport. It's also, they lost more than 50%. It's over.
The only thing that keeps them going is the hunters.
Yes.
Hunters have power.
Yeah. Well, and that also is diminishing because the generations don't hunt anymore. But, you know,
question for both of you guys.
Yeah.
So since this is obviously taking a toll on the whole industry, and now we're looking into the future a little bit, and we're going, man, this is going to go really bad. Do you have a solution, maybe something that you're thinking about or something in the works that you feel would kind of change the course?
Well, dog world is too divided. Try to put the noses in the same direction in the bite sports. There's different bite sports. There's IGP, there's PSA, there's French ring, there is Mondio ring, there's KNPV, there's Wuji. They always invent new shit. How do you want the noses to stay in the same direction? Julius Caesar said, divide and control. Well, they control us because we are so divided that the noses are not in the same direction. And nobody accepts the leadership from nobody. Nobody. And maybe you give us an idea there, start something new. Maybe we're going to do it. But we have big projects in our company. In 2 years, we have a little bit more time. And maybe we're going to start a new federation because all the federations that I do see have a missing link. You know, the biggest growing sport for the moment in bite work is PSA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They must do something right. They must
Mm-hmm.
do something right.
They welcome
Yeah.
What I miss is athletic jumps. I miss it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I see
So
what you're saying.
I miss it. And what I miss is finishing exercises. Destroying the exercise, the conflict is more important than the exercise. And I'm always interested in why is it a success? Well, because everybody is in the suit. If you see a
Mm-hmm.
training,
Mm-hmm.
fat
Yeah.
papas, fat mamas, smart kids, tall kids, little kids, everybody's jumping around and trying to
Mm-hmm.
destroy the dog. Everybody's active, and that's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very good thing. And that's, I think, the biggest success of this game. And it's an easy step in. Easy step in, where IGP is much more complicated. French ring, you need top helpers. It's so complicated, you cannot believe. And nobody wants to do the ABCs to go to the X, Y, Zs. And
Mm-hmm.
people have a lot of fun in the training of PSA, because in PSA it's like Belgian ring, it's like Mondial ring. You have all types of scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
You, Michael, me, we are all little kids and we like to imaginate our new game of the day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, if I have a dog, between you and me, if I have a dog that I must train that carjacking, that dog cannot stay in my kennel. I don't want a dog like that. He
Mm-hmm.
must do it spontaneously. We call that the zone defense.
I see
So,
what you're saying.
but they have fun and it's good. It's an imaginary world. So they do a lot of things right. So you must always copy why it is so strong for the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, and that's the problem from all the growing brands and companies and also sport,
Mm-hmm.
where will it stop and when will it stop and how will it stop? You see what I mean? And maybe we should invent or add more practical exercises. The idea of the PSA, where they say we want to let the dog smell to a scent wheel, that is very realistic, the smell of the day. Man trailing is very interesting. So we
Mm-hmm.
have so much fun today with man trailing. And you have a lot of space in the United States, where in Europe you cannot do that.
Right. No,
Here, every day we do man trailing with our dog. It's so fun, you cannot believe. Like a
Mm-hmm.
maniac. So, and we started that all on that little scent wheel where the dog must
Yeah.
identify different scents, coffee, tea,
Yeah.
cheese,
Yeah.
food, whatever. So,
now he just smells the person,
yes.
and
So,
then he finds
Yeah.
it.
so
Mm-hmm.
then if you want to see the sharpness of a dog, you need to do what we call muzzle work.
Mm-hmm.
And not muzzle work on a helper, because that's again prey.
Mm-hmm.
It must be muzzle work on civil people.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
That's the difference. And now you can try to do it. So I'm missing logic things in a lot of new things. And I should like to be a member, but they never ask us to help. I'm always amazed to see that. If somebody is still, we are not senile for the moment, eh? The brains are
Not
still
yet.
working well.
Not yet.
Well,
Okay.
we still are a sponge. Maybe in 10 years they say, he's too old, he doesn't know what he's saying anymore. I hear that lately from your president of the United States. He did say a word that was not very clean, and then people said, well, he's an old man.
He's an old man. He misspoke.
What the heck is that again? So, but we are not
Yeah.
there, and we are not senile. So we are now ready to tell all our knowledge. But, hey,
That's
Will,
good.
you did ask us, did we ask you for money to do this interview?
No, no, sir.
No.
Not at
And
all.
you see, look to our eyes. They are burning like cigarettes. There is
Yeah.
passion.
There's definitely passion there. You
We,
two
we,
seem like
we
very
are
passionate people.
suffering. We are suffering when we see a video like there in Finland. And then we can do things. We can put our head on the table, like, how do you call that? Struisvogel. The bird that put the head on the sand.
Anteater? No.
No, there is a bird
ostrich.
The ostrich. We
Mm-hmm.
can do the ostrich politic, and we continue, or we try to put all our power to defend what we do and how we do. There is an old man, Reiser. He's a little bit older than I am, and people like him and people hate him. But from Reiser, you can never say that he was lying to people. He was always speaking about positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement, and that's part of it. Helmut was always preaching the wine
Mm-hmm.
and the water. And you need guys like that are doctors and have something in their brain and they can speak. Are they loved? That's something else.
He's a super smart guy.
He's not very loved, huh? Because
Helmet riser.
He's hard.
of course, but
Yeah.
it's hard for himself.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
and we like people like that, and these are people that can do something for the future. They have knowledge. They have. We also can, if they ask, we should like to help, but we have another agenda, and that's our company. And our company, well, we have co-workers that we like very much, and we do our best. And we are another thing. 6 weeks ago, they did put us under pressure like we were the criminals of the world. And
Yes.
then we had to make a statement. Well, we never did so good business as after that. People don't understand what they're doing. And everybody became better out of that deal, except one person, and that's Joris. And that is so sad, you know, because that guy is really not a racist.
I can tell you from experience, like he's my friend. If he was what everybody wants to paint him as, one, I wouldn't be his friend. Two, he wouldn't be my friend, you know?
Right.
They just don't know him on a personal level, but.
What's your, how you call it?
Heritage.
Ethnicity?
Nationality.
What's your nationality? USA? You are an American?
Well, I'm South American. I'm South American.
Okay.
Yes.
You have a green card?
Hispanic. I'm a citizen.
You're a citizen. You pay taxes. Well,
yeah.
I'm a Belgian guy. I'm a minority here. My wife is American. So we do our best. We will integrate. We do everything we can. And we are the age where we don't have to shut our mouth anymore. And with that whole thing of Joris, I still have a very bad taste in my mouth from what is happening, because Joris knows the truth. The person that was having the camera knows the truth. And Mesbeth from Canada knows the truth. And that's it. And I will not say more. But there were hidden agendas, and I'm not happy with that. And that must stop. It must stop. And the same thing with that thing going on in Finland. There is a hidden agenda. What I did read was Royal Canin already did pull back their sponsorship, and others will follow. I mean,
it's just one thing, and then it's one thing after another.
They call that guerrilla advertising. They put very itchy statements, movies, and then everybody's touched by that, and then they start the whole thing, and there's a whole animosity around, and the business go fine and well. It's a business model, and it's not right. And here again, PETA has a business model, and if you look at their videos, they always ask money, because the videos that those guys have, that cost money. Look to that sniper. That's a professional guy.
Yeah, that's thousands and thousands of euros.
And you know what? In Europe, all those dog trainers are little hobby people. Hobby people, and in the States, they would be professionals. And all those little clubs, they fight to each other. We call it tribal fights. And in America, it's a business fight that's going on here. And the more mud professionals can throw to each other, the more they do. It's unbelievable to see that.
Well, it's unbelievable. It's very interesting. My father is an old school military guy, and when I grew up, and I was a kid, I was between 10 and 15, and my dad said, yes, there is discrimination against women, and he said, but the only way to combat discrimination is to just be better. They're just proven wrong. I mean, and that's an old school thing, but he always told me, if you want to compete with the men, you have to be better than the men. That's it.
An example of that, 2002 was my last competition I did in my life. 2002. That's quite 20 years ago. Was with my top dog Zot, which, by the way, was a psychopath, and that's why I never did breed him. It was only good under my control. So it was a unicum, but it was a crazy dog that we could control well. But people like that. And then they come for breeding. And you know what? One of the puppies that came out of that monster was the nicest dog ever.
Thor.
Not Thor, that was grandson. Flip from Peter. And Flip became twice DVG champion in Germany. You could,
Yes.
and a good friend of us that does make the dog trophy for us did purchase the dog with his wife. It's Peter Muller and his wife Anke Bochum. They did buy that dog, and they did become twice German DVG champ with that dog. That dog was so sweet, and he came out of a monster.
Mm-hmm.
And then another son was Black Thor.
Yeah.
Okay, so you see that the mixed bred, because that's another thing that people don't know about us, and certainly not about me. I never had a pure bred in my hands. I refuse to have a dog with papers, because that's where racism starts. The Malinois, the German Shepherd, the Rottweiler.
That you must have papers to
And you
compete.
must have papers to compete.
Instead of who's the best.
Yes.
Right.
I'm going to tell you something. I come out of Africa. In our team, the best were playing. And you know who was the best guy? There was a black guy with a clump feet. He had a clump foot. You know, a clump foot.
A club foot.
It was
Yeah.
due to nature. His foot was a little bit like that. He did put the balls in every corner. And you know what? He was the captain of the team. That was the big man. Because he was better.
Yes.
Me with
Just
dogs.
like Michael said, you just have to be better.
Yes. And me, and suck it up and do better and work harder. You know, Top Dog Zot, they did push me out of competition. I had to fight back with legal means to oblige the NVBK to accept me again. And they had to pay, I think, 1,000 to 2,000 euro every day that they did push me out of the competition. After 7 days, I received the invitation, Mr. Bellon, you are selected for the Belgian Championships, because I was selected. And I knew they're going to do everything. They're going to do everything to push me down. But I knew one thing. Dog is trained so well. I knew if one guy's going to win, it's Zot and me. And Zot did perform. And there we did not receive 1 point.
Well, you can see when the crowd is cheering, the judges are all sitting like this.
Nobody, they were
not happy.
The crowd was happy because they knew what was happening. And that was under pressure. People don't understand what pressure is. They did try everything. Everything to nail that dog that day. And after that, I was so disgusted because even the money that they gave me, it was an empty envelope. And I'm not kidding. And that's the day I said, never again. Never again. And in despite of that, I still love the NVBK sport because it makes us famous. So I have a hate relationship, a hate-love relationship, because it's such a rich game that it's too complicated for people. You cannot explain that to people that just do bite is a bite. No, a bite is not a bite. There is more than just a bite. It's the way the dog bites, the way he goes to bite, the way that he outs, the way that he's confident, the way that he looks to you, the way that he takes the stick, the way that you think he comes left and he comes right. That's a dog. But you know, you cannot share your passion with people that don't want to listen. In my country, they say, how can you make a donkey drinking when he's not thirsty? You guys say you can bring the horse to the water. Drinking him to himself.
Yeah, but you can't make him drink.
So
the Belgians have a lot of.
Yeah, we have a lot of good sentences.
Yeah.
Now, what you said, and it's already come up a couple of times since we've been talking, is the word passion. I feel like sometimes in society we're like almost penalized if we show passion, right? Like you have to soften up what you say so that you don't upset some people. Like you have to make a drama, right?
Well, I tell you this: we normally are free and a little bit funny, but we are going to watch everything we say. This next school is going to be much more Coca-Cola light. We're going to make sure we must change.
What Mr. Mesbet created from Canada, it's his right to do that, and he has his background and his reasons. Like the lady had her reasons to take that movie. But they did create something new. And that something new is that Mr. Mesbet is a helper. And if he, in his career, makes a dog not well biting, some people one day will say, well, he does it on purpose, because people are like that. And in the world where we live, I will never touch somebody on a seminar. Never. Because I'm afraid that the Me Too story starts against me, or from. I'm not joking,
Right.
Will. So they make life so complicated that you cannot be yourself anymore. The political correctness will paralyze this society. And hey, I have no hair. People were always making jokes about my hair. I did suck it up and I became better than them in dog training. Now they say, whoa, that guy with no hair, he's very good. You see what I mean? So, I mean, try to do your best and work harder. That's all I can say to people.
That's
And,
why my father was a wise man.
you know, I like to be
Yeah,
spontaneous.
sounds like him.
I always had the freedom of the Chester due to my foreign exotic accent.
Not anymore.
It's over.
Not
Because
anymore.
they're going to watch me for
No.
everything. So
Anything he says, they can use against him.
it's not nice. And it brings you in a very difficult position. How old are you, Will?
I'm 37.
37. Well, for you, it will be much harder than for Michael and me because the whole world is changing with that overcorrectness. You must be correct, but not overcorrect. And between you and me, we can do jokes. And by the way, now and then a dirty joke. That's fun. What can I say? I mean, if I cannot laugh with myself, what a sad person I am.
Exactly. Yeah,
The
you
world
have.
must be full of humor.
But everybody doesn't have the same sense of humor.
And
And if you hurt a person's feelings, you can lose everything.
to go
And
back
that's
to Joris,
terrible.
and
That's
to go
terrible.
back to Joris, he said those stupid words, and he
he's-
should
Right.
not have told them
Because he's stupid.
because he's stupid.
Yes.
He's a big mouth, and,
Right.
and he's now suffering for
But
that,
he-
and that's good.
but he
That's
lost-
consequences. But there is a moment where the consequences should not be death penalties.
Well, it's
That's what I tried to say.
interesting because we have all the people from the school read the talent code, and in the talent code they tell a
Yeah,
little
it's a good book.
a little piece about a guy who makes a flight simulator because
Yes.
pilots were getting caught in the rain and they were crashing.
Yep.
And
Yep.
one mistake and they're dead. One
Yeah.
mistake and they're dead. But if you are making one mistake and you're dead, you're not learning anything.
Yeah,
So
that makes
one
perfect sense.
mistake and you're dead means there's no chance for learning. We're teachers.
Yeah.
What Michael tries to tell is that when the planes go down in a simulation, you survive it because it's a simulator. And next time you try to be better in that very critical moment until there is no more problem in this simulator.
Learn how to do it.
The consequences, and Michael and I, at the end, we are dog trainers. And dog trainers, we have consequences for doing and consequences for not doing. And we implement that in our lives. We implement that in our private lives. We implement that. And people that know it. For example, now we have a little guy that works with us since 1 month. It's the son of Mrs. Barbieri, Victor. So we have him as, how do you call that?
Intern.
Intern. Yep. Intern.
So, and now he does see the real thing, how he brush dogs, how he walk dogs. And he always say, you know what, Michael, Bart, I'm amazed that you guys quite never train.
Yeah, he's like, you're always brushing the dogs and running them and
he said, well,
feeding them
and what do I see? He said, you guys quite never train, but they're very well trained.
Yeah.
He does see it, and because most people, they have time now and they go train 1 hour with the poor animal, and the poor animal has no gasoline to work for 1 minute, but they continue for 1 hour. And they have gasoline for 1 minute, so they push the dog, for 59 minutes. Michael and I, we are gasoline trainers. We make gasoline. Hope. And once there is hope,
well, it's like Victor has a new dog, and I said to Victor, he said, what must I do? What should I start training? I said, just take her for a walk every day. Just go walk around the property.
Bicycle.
Just bike with her, clicker train her every time she comes to you. And he's like, but what should I train her? I said, that's training. That's training.
Every time they're out, they're learning something.
Yeah. And we learn him well. Dog training is about 2 hours per dog, where from the 2 hours, it's maybe 5 minutes training, and all the rest is running, brushing.
It's a lifestyle. It's coming out of the crate. It's going back in the crate. It's
Going to the
brushing them.
store.
It's pushing them around. It's learning to ride in the car. Going into the peeing in town.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What we do see a lot is
Putting their collars on and making them look at you and taking
Mm-hmm.
their collars off. And
we see a lot of trick training or whatever training with dogs. And then we see that the dog has so long nails. You don't impress me with a dog. Or you see that the dog is not brushed. You don't impress me with a dog.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we are from the old generation. We wake up. The first thing we do is we make up our bed. Can you believe that? We have money enough to pay people to make our bed.
That's good stuff.
I do.
I don't. I don't have money. I don't have that kind of money.
What I mean, it's a lifestyle, and it's our little things, you know. And I mean, and
It's like the first thing you do when you wake up, the last thing you do before you go to bed.
Yeah.
You know, that's how much of a lifestyle it is. You have to be very conscious about it.
Yeah, yeah. And clean up the stuff. You put it there, clean it up. Always clean up. The dog poos, clean it up.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't clean it up, it's second poo. If you don't clean it up, it's a whole pack of poo. It's no go.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is flies, and so on and so on. It's a lifestyle, and that's very interesting to see that we have fun with that young man, and it's fun because if it's no fun, we don't do this.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's learning to speak, learning.
Right. Because obviously people think I'm going to intern with Michael and Bart. We're going to train all day. And I think we normally train about 5 minutes, and there's a lot of other things we do, but it's not, you know.
Yeah, that's what happens with a lot of people when they think of internship. They're like, "Hey, man, can I do an internship?" And they're expecting like a full, you know, one-on-one dedicated school, and you're like, "No, dude,
we're with them all day."
It's with them all day, and
we're
now
with
and then
them
we
all
tell
day.
him something. For example, lately, that dog learned to not like to come after you walk. The dog learned, I don't want to go back in the kennel.
His dog.
So,
right."
then we showed with slow negative reinforcement. The dog did fly to him with the ears up, and he was looking just, is it so easy? I say, yeah.
Yeah.
The dog knows everything, but the dog learned to escape and to not do and to fake being unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
And then she didn't come away with that. And now, with clear rules, and she knows exactly, you can touch her with your finger 100 yards away. She did fly to him, full of passion. It was beautiful.
And even when he was near the kennel, he was calling her back just to give her the ball, you know. I'm near the kennel. Yeah, that's normally when you think you're going to go in. But if you come, I just give you the ball. We go walk.
Yeah, and that
Anyway,
makes sense.
all that started with that video where our mission is to teach a politic, palatable system where the dog obeys on cue, but with heart and soul. And we don't want to implement that. But what I should like to say is that we have been asked by European armies, and we must shut our mouth which armies, to implement the system for them because they have a big problem. And the big problem is they have army dogs. And the army dog does recently not fall under the weapon law, but under the animal welfare law. So they must have systems and they must explain what they do and how they do. And we told them, well, as an army, there is two laws that you must respect. There is the animal welfare law, and then there is the Convention of Geneva, where you must have respect for your enemy. Even, I just speak about armies, so there is two laws. And the Geneva law is higher evaluated than the animal welfare law. That means that if a dog from the army bites a soldier from the opposite army, you must, with whatever means, stop that action immediately. Otherwise, you can go for the court tribunal for being cruel towards your enemy because you did not out that dog. And that's why Michael and I, we have big problems when we see videos in the United States where you see law enforcement by not controlling the dog on the out. And I don't know how they come away with that. And we know exactly the big problem is you cannot train on that scenario because nobody is stupid enough to give a live bite. Nobody.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
you cannot train on that situation. And then there is two situations that will happen. You have that nice dog that will not bite, and then you have a problem. Or you
Mm-hmm.
have that dog that will
Loved it.
bite
He
and
loved
that
it.
tastes blood and say, whoa, I'm not gonna out here. And therefore that dog you need, in the Convention of Geneva, you are allowed to inflict pain to make him out. But because we train him well, it's a tactile command to make him out, and it's not a pain stimulus. And
Mm-hmm.
so on and so on. So we learn those armies with bulletproof systems that are politic palatable and that they can continue having war dogs. And that's important. And then another thing is, imagine they have a army that moves and the dogs are only trained with positive reinforcement, what the animal welfare wants.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that dog will make a mistake, and then you must give the implementation of the what we call negative correction. Stop the game and no food today. And you must tell the general, we must stop the military action because my dog is not under control, and tomorrow we can continue the military action. If I'm the general, I kick your fucking ass. I tell you that. So, when the dog is trained to understand negative reinforcement and the eventual correction, the correction comes clear as crystal clear. The dog goes out of mistake and continues with heart and soul in the job,
Mm-hmm.
and the military action continues. And the generals are looking to you like,
No
wow,
stress.
that's the whole thing we needed.
Yeah.
So, and that's our job. So make it so that there is a scenario that is bulletproof, but you must train the dogs for that day. You must learn them that language. We call that the ABCs. If you don't learn ABCs, which is ne popo, you do
Mm-hmm.
popo ne. It's like people train a dog with, for example, I just say something, in electronic color.
Mm-hmm.
And the correction come with the bamboo stick. That doesn't work because the bamboo is a new language. If you train him in electronic, you correct him in electronic. If you
Mm-hmm.
train him with the bamboo, you correct him in the bamboo. It's easy like that. Even a
Train him with,
dumbass can
if you
understand
train
that.
him with a leash, you correct him with
Yes,
a leash.
yes. And
Mm-hmm.
people always train in one language
And
and
switch to another.
and for the corrections they go to another language.
Well, we get
What
a
the hell
lot.
is that?
We get a lot of that at Martin System, especially when I used to answer the phones at Martin System, and people would say, "Oh, am I speaking with Michael?" And now it's time for me to get an e-caller. My dog's misbehaving.
Yes. Yeah. And the funny thing about that too is like I've seen purely positive trainers lose their patience, and like because that's what happens. They're like, oh, everything's great, everything's great. Hot dogs, cheese, cheese. But when they have that gentle leader, that head harness, I mean, they'll lose their patience because now, and I've heard of this. Have had people that have worked for purely positive trainers call me and say, well, like they're cranking the dogs on the head harness, which is
Well, I
terrible for the
personally,
dog's spine.
that's
Brutal.
no.
Anyway,
I think it is.
and that's the big problem in the universe of dog training. There is different gurus, different
Right.
systems.
I would never use that, but I don't criticize anyone who does. If they want to use it, if it works for them, good.
It's so hard, to have the magic stick to bring all the people together, dog people, and go for systems where everybody accepts everybody. It's not easy. So we accept that people do it another way.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
If it works for them.
as long as we train dogs, we never were on the siege, never on the siege from animal welfare. And every time seminars in the old day were announced, and they knew exactly that we did train with pinch collar, choke collar, with clicker, with ball,
Mm-hmm.
with everything. And we always tried to make harmony, and we always, I can remember one day, and it was in Berlin, and I will not names again. It's a
Mm-hmm.
while ago, and I was just dating Michael, and one of our friends, and I'm not naming, is a wheelchair gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a dog, a Malinois from a very strong bloodline, and he did let that dog grow too high. He was too strong.
Mm-hmm.
So if you wanted to help the gentleman by pushing his wheelchair, the dog was very possessive, and they tried to bite everybody.
I remember that.
So then we, as the how should I say, the seminarist of the day, we must take a decision. Or we send that young man home and say,
You must
young
get
man,
rid of the dog
you must kill the dog and you must give it away. Or you be professional and we say, we're going to cure that dog
today.
And we did cure that dog. If they film that, we have problems with animal welfare. But that gentleman
Was able to
thanks us every day for what we did there. And he could control that dog, and he still has that dog, and that dog does beautiful work.
Beautiful.
You see what I mean?
Fantastic.
But that's what people never want to see, the results. The thing you do, and there they nail you. And that's why Michael and I, we exaggerate. We write down, no videos, no photos. Yeah, but it's only for me. No videos for nobody, because one day it bites in your tail. And I don't like people to bite in my tail. So,
yeah.
I mean,
Except me.
well, when was that? Now, it is unbelievable that people, because we could have used that gentleman as an advertising tool of look how sweet and ta-ta-ti and ta-ta-ta. We did not do that neither, because we know that that dog was not Mr. Sweet. Okay? But I mean, sometimes you must cure the problem and you must handle it. And the apostles of morality, they're always at the side, and they don't have pity with that gentleman that is in the wheelchair.
Right.
They have pity with the dog that wants to bite everybody. And for
he wants to keep his dog.
3 seconds, we show the dog who was the boss.
Just in 3 seconds.
Because that dog just needed the boss.
Yeah.
There was somebody
and it was probably misunderstanding on the dog's side too. Like probably not clear communication or maybe inability to. And then you just stepped in and said, hey guys, here's how it is. Here's how it is, dog. Person, here's how it goes.
But the thing is that, for him to get a new dog and start from zero, he already has enough on his plate, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so hard. So sometimes, if I looked at that video from Finland, I have mercy with that professional, because that gentleman that was on the field, well, he has been booby-trapped, you cannot believe, and he will bleed for that.
And we've had some friends also be booby-trapped.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
By people who supposedly were their friends.
Yeah.
So
it is so bad.
And they doctor things. And we see videos.
And you know what? One of our preferred sentences: a dog bites, a cat scratches, and a horse kicks. And that's what you must know. Yeah, but all dogs are nice. Come on, wake up. Now,
they're animals.
Yes, and the more you are in the profession, the more you become schizophrenic. Because I'm very careful with dogs. People always think that I'm not, but I am. Because I did see the biggest accidents of the world you cannot believe. You cannot believe. So sometimes I'm starting sweating when I see people with their faces to dogs. They don't do that.
We've had a lot of experiences.
I mean, I can only imagine. I've myself have seen some things that definitely made me cautious. For good, like that. I think the people that are kind of new at this, they don't see these things, like Michael said, and so they don't realize how bad it can get. It's not until you start to get some experience with some of these dogs that you finally go, dang, I need to be careful. I was lucky that time, and I was lucky that time, and I need to now be careful because I've seen how bad it can be with some dogs.
I'm going to tell you an anecdote. I think it's about 20 years ago, because I was a devil as a young guy. I still have fire, but it's calming down. And I was in top shape, and I was running about around the fort where Michael and I live in Belgium. We have a loop around the fort. It's about 2 kilometers, 200, which is about 1 mile, 200. And I'm running, and then there is a it's not a golden retriever, an Irish setter. I never forget it. And he's running behind me and really napping, and I stop. And I look to the owner. He does not do, he's nice, he does nothing. I say, okay. So I'm shutting my mouth because I know better.
Yeah.
And I run again. and the dog again, gak, 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 and very aggressive. I grab the dog and I jump with the dog in the water and I put him on the water for 3 seconds and then I let him go. The next day I was running again, and that lady saw me and the dog saw me, choo, immediately the other direction.
Both of them.
You know, oh yeah. And you know, they always say my dog is nice. He's not nice.
Mm-hmm.
The same.
Never trust the owner.
And I had a top dog Zot. That dog was so well trained you cannot believe. And he was a good fighter. He loved fighting with other dogs. And if I'm out with my dog, I'm out. And other dogs come to my dog, I say, Ligger, down. And I go immediately in front of the dog. Yeah, but my dog is nice, they scream to me. I say, no. And then they call the name, Looky, Looky, Looky. And then you see the hair of the dog already coming up and growling. And then I'm thinking myself, okay. Then I give the dog the secret command. He nailed that dog for 2 seconds. And then I whistle back. It comes back. And my dog was so happy. That dog, I never had problems again. So I warned people one time. They don't listen. They must
pay the consequence.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have dangerous little dogs. And they don't see that.
Mm-hmm.
People really don't.
Well, we're a little bit like that with Victor. We warn him one time, and then
with people also. You work for us.
Yes.
We say tomorrow. It's tomorrow.
Right.
Don't do it the day after tomorrow because there is a bomb exploding.
If it's 8 o'clock, it's 8 o'clock. Be dead or be here at 8.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We have a fantastic team in Martin's system. Fantastic team. But they were a little bit used to do it tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. And then they were always amazed that when we said tomorrow, we were there at 5 o'clock in the morning. And when they went home, we were still there until 9 o'clock in the evening. When we say it's done, it will be done. And we changed that mentality around, and now they all like that.
Oh, yeah. It's the best team in the world.
See, that's awesome. You have to do what you say you're going to do, and it goes back to being passionate about what you do.
Yes, and push, and don't sit in your comfortable seat and give orders to people in the front lines. Show the example. Mm-hmm. If I like clean toilets, I clean them myself. I have no problem with that, but I don't want to see a dirty toilet. I tell you that. Then the hell is going off. You go to the toilet, you clean it up. I go to the toilet, I clean it up. Even on the highway, I do that. I must not clean, I do it. Because it's my education that I received from my parents. I do it.
Good ethics.
Well, if everybody does that, life is easy. It's little things. Little things. Hey, Will, it was I think only now you did manage to grab us the longest in timing.
Thank you very much.
I think that you had the people on the floor, they were dancing. You were a good disc jockey. And the job from a disc jockey is to make sure that people are dancing. It's not playing the music you like. Playing the music that makes people dance. We touched very delicate topics.
We sure did.
We did put the neck in the front line. They will shoot. There's always people shooting. And, well, we are adult people. But people must be sure of one thing. We mean it well. That's 100%. We mean it well, even if our language is sometimes rough. And we like, after all, we like the harmony model. We like that. And that's why we try always to massage deals until the noses are in the same direction. Okay.
And sometimes we fail, and then we feel like we failed. We really feel like we failed, you know?
I really appreciate the honesty. And, I mean, we definitely touched on some very sensitive things. And just like you said, there are going to be people that are not going to agree with some of the things you said, but it's not a big deal. And you guys were very honest, very frank. And I think that's what we need more of. You know, we need more of that frankness and that honesty, whether somebody likes it or not. If you don't like it, just don't listen to it. Move on.
Well,
but everybody's just like we talked about, everybody's so politically correct. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. So thank you guys for this awesome interview. It's great catching up with you guys again.
And then there will come a cat out of the bag. And the cat out of the bag is Martin's system is launching new products at the end of the month. And there we did speak to somebody else that will have the prime time we do the same thing like here, but that's just more technical stuff about the e-collar. Okay.
Big announcement. Big announcement. That's awesome.
End of the month, the cat is out of the bag, and we will do it. And the first launch will be here at the school.
Awesome. Well, everybody stay tuned.
Well, we will go 5 minutes live, where nobody does see nobody. Everybody will have a mask, but 5 minutes that people can. Well, we like that our students have their discretion. Sometimes there is people that nobody should know they are here.
And sometimes, yeah.
So we respect that.
People have special jobs.
Special job, discretion, army, law enforcement, private people.
It's going to be a fantastic school here.
Yeah.
Really going to be great.
Looking forward to that announcement.
Great. It's a great
group. Another thing if we would do this every day, Mike and I have no fire. It was, I think, 3-4 months ago that we had a podcast, and what you see, it was spontaneous. There was animosity. We did not avoid itchy problems. We did not fight. But if you do this every day, it becomes softened on. It becomes too soft, too
diluted.
Yes, diluted. So that's what we always try to tell people: don't do things too much.
Victor, that's your word for the day. Diluted.
Diluted. Well,
Victor
thank you guys.
The word of the day every day. That's part of his internship.
That's awesome. Well, thank you guys very much. I appreciate it. Okay. One quick question before we end this. Do you guys mind if I save this and post it as a post, or do you want to just end it right here?
No.
No, you can save it and post it.
Post it as a post, but no cuts.
No cuts. Got it. No edits.
Just
live.
Just as it is from beginning to end.
Like we said at the beginning, Michael and I, we never go again for interviews where people can cut and paste, because now we were lucky. But it can be the wrong side.
Understand.
If people give us a question we don't like, which is possible, we will say, please, another question. We have no problem with the bad question, but it's not a bad question. We don't want to answer.
Right.
Understand.
There is private things on which we will say, next question, please, and no problem. But we like to be spontaneous.
Okay, perfect. So you have my word. I'm not going to edit this at all. It's going to be from beginning to end.
Are you going to put it on Facebook?
So I was going to put it on Instagram, Facebook. I was going to put it on YouTube and my podcast, all from the beginning to the end. Is that cool with you guys?
It's fine.
Awesome.
It's a must.
Okay.
Thank you all so much. Thank you very much. And you guys have a good evening.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yes, sir. Bye.